Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurmang amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Well, thank you everyone, especially Mataji and her team for having me here, organizing this beautiful retreat in this beautiful place. It's really, this place has spirit. And thank you all for joining. The text that we have selected, you have the book with you, Manisha Panchakam. So it's a text of Vedanta, of Advaita Vedanta. And most of us here, by the way, I was just speaking with Mangeshji, and I said, you don't get new people. They're all people I know. They're people from different Vedanta societies across the country here. So most of us here are veteran Vedantins. So we do know what Vedanta is about. But still, once in a while, it's good to take a look, a retrospective look at what exactly is Vedanta. Recently, I was in St. Louis, and revered Swami Chaitananandaji, he gave me this subject. He says once in a while he gives this subject to visiting Swamis. What is Vedanta? And he says it's been wonderful from 1971 onwards, when he's been in this country. He has heard the same subject again and again from different teachers, and new insights, new perspectives. So I thought, what am I going to say to a group of experienced Vedantins when you ask what is Vedanta? And what I did was, I asked myself this question 7 times. I later counted. Ask, what is Vedanta? Give an answer. Ask yourself again, what is Vedanta? Give a different answer. And again, a different answer. I'm not going to go through that, but do look it up. Do look up that particular talk. It's on the Vedanta Society of St. Louis YouTube channel, also on our Vedanta Society of New York YouTube channel. What is Vedanta? One way of understanding Vedanta is to understand what it is not. And there's a very comprehensive way of looking at Vedanta, and we'll speak about that later. But often it's useful to drill down to the core of Advaita Vedanta. And to drill down to the core of Advaita Vedanta, you can ask, what is it not? You see, spiritual life, it depends on how you set up the question. The answer that you'll get, it depends on how you set up the question. One way of looking at the problem of spiritual life is the way we are used to in the different religions of the world, especially the theistic religions of the world. God exists. We do not have faith in God, do not love God, do not worship God, do not surrender to God. That is the problem. And the solution would be to have faith, to have devotion and love and surrender. So this structure, this is easily recognizable as the bhakti approach, the devotional approach, the faith-based approach. It starts with faith. You cannot enter a devotional approach to religion with questions and skepticism. You must enter it with some degree of faith. That's one way of looking at it. But when you come to, say, another approach, see, that is such a predominant approach, the approach of faith, that in most religions across the world, that is taken to be religion. In fact, in the United States, here, in the Western world, the word for religion is what? Faith. Faith. And yet it's not an appropriate word. If you come to something like Advaita Vedanta, come to something like yoga, for example, it's not quite faith. So there are other paradigms of religion. There are other ways, entirely different ways of looking at spirituality. Another way is, no, not faith, but experience. Swami Vivekananda, when he came here, one reason why his message was so powerful, he said to a world, to the Western world, which was used to thinking of religion as faith, as believing in something, he said, it is not believing in something. Religion is not believing, it's realization. Religion is realization. Religion is experience. If there is a God, I must see God. If I have an immortal soul, I must feel it. So he is speaking of the language of experience. What kind of experience? The yogi tells you, the Patanjali yogi, the yogi tells you that not faith, but here are a certain set of psychophysical exercises which if you go through, if you pursue it, you will actually experience for yourself the truth of these claims. So you will actually see, within quotes, that there is some truth to the claim about God or an immortal soul, that we are not the body and mind. This will be revealed to you in experience. So that's the language of experience. And that sort of became a paradigm for the New Age movement. In fact, the New Thought and the New Age movement actually experiencing it in life, not something just to believe in something, not just to assent to something. That's the language of experience. But even that is not Advaita Vedanta. Many people do not distinguish between the yogic approach, the experience approach, and Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta is something different. There is a third approach, and it's so subtle that people often do not distinguish between the yogic approach and the jnana approach or the Advaita approach. Jnana approach means the approach of knowledge, of insight. You see, what is the problem with the devotional approach, if you will? If you're going to find fault, if you're going to find problems, the problem will be it's difficult in this age of Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and Daniel Dennett and the militant atheists to have unshaken faith just like that. Some people are blessed with it, but often if it is attacked, the house of faith proves to be shaky. Under the hammer blows of modern criticism, of scientific criticism, of materialist reductionism, the whole apparatus, the structure of faith seems to be shaky and a little difficult to defend. Against that you can say, what about the yogic approach? You can actually experience these things. But there also you can attack it. Oh, you are having this, what is this experience you're speaking about in yoga? It is extraordinary experience, not this ordinary experience which we are having. It is mystical experience. You know, you have visions. The mystics of religions all over the world, they have had this experience. But the problem with that, if you're going to find fault, the problem with that is, today a neuroscientist might say that, oh, no, you're not seeing God or you're not experiencing universal oneness. It's just a mild stroke on the left hemisphere of your brain or something, and that's why you are having these experiences. But it does not prove anything at all. You just feel like that, or you feel one with the universe, or you are having a vision of God or angels or light. We can have the same thing. If you take a particular drug, you can have the same experience. If you have a little blood clot in your brain, you can maybe have the same experience. So does it really prove you are one with the universe? Does it really prove that there is a universal spirit? No, it may not be so. So how do you answer that? There is this third approach, and now we are coming to what we are going to study, what we are going to investigate. This approach is experience, but it's a knowledge-based approach, not extraordinary experience, not faith. You are not asked to believe in anything in Advaita Vedanta. In fact, you must not. You must question and try to understand. I often give the example of signing up for a course maybe in the University of Arizona, and you go to a physics class or a math class, and if the professor says, did you get it? And you say, sir, you are great, I believe you. The professor will tear his or her hair, and you don't have to believe me, you have to get it, I want you to understand. So it's not a question of believing something. it's not also a question of extraordinary experience. This is something to be understood. When we will see this text or any Advaitic text, the experience that Advaita uses, that Jnana uses, this path we are going to talk about, is commonplace experience which everybody has. What is the experience they will use? You will see. The experience of being awake, which most of us presumably you are. And before you transition to other rarefied states of experience, I will bring it to a close, don't worry. Experience of being awake, experience of indeed, yes, even falling asleep, the experience of dreaming. Advaita does not ask us to go into those states. You must not fall asleep and start dreaming or sound sleep, you can sleep, but don't make the sound. So, common experience, the experience of being you're seeing, and there are things which you see. You're hearing right now, and you're hearing what I'm speaking. There's common experience of seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching, of thinking. There's experience of waking, dreaming, deep sleep. There's experience of being embodied. So common experiences which all of us have. Just the experience of being a sentient, aware being. Just that experience. The most common experience everybody has. All of us share it. Then what does Advaita do? It takes that experience and then draws our attention to something which we did not see earlier. Sri Ramakrishna told this wonderful story. It will be good to keep in mind. It's really applicable to our situation. He said that this washerman, and that takes some explanation. In India, those who are from India, you know, but those of us who are not from India, you will not know. There are still, a clothes washer is not a machine. It's a man, typically, who will come to your house and pick up your laundry and take it. Usually, the person will take it to a river bed, to the bank of a river, and then you don't want to see what he does to your expensive clothes. He washes them very, very thoroughly, but he gets it very clean. Now this washerman, one of our Swamis, he was in the 1980s, 70s, 80s, he was saying he was alarmed. He went to India, to our monastery, and he asked for a nail cutter. And he was telling us, next day I got the nail cutter. What is the nail cutter? This rather fierce looking character with a knife. He asked, what do you want? He's banging on my door early in the morning. You asked for me. No, I didn't. I am the nail cutter. So just like that, the washerman, he takes your clothes and he washes them there. This washerman, he found a diamond, but he didn't know what it was. He thought it was just a peculiar rock, and he used to scrub the clothes with it. Didn't know how valuable it was. But one day, he thought, it's not like other rocks. Let me ask my friend, the vegetable seller, who might know, who is wiser than me more. And so he goes to the vegetable seller, and the vegetable seller says, this seems valuable. I can give you a bag of brinjals for it, or some vegetables for it. I can trade you. Luckily, that washerman did not agree to that trade. He went higher up the food chain. And finally, he comes to this diamond merchant who recognizes the rock for what it is, the biggest diamond he has ever seen. And he says, this is a magnificent stone. It's a magnificent diamond. I will give you 10 lakh rupees for it, 10 million rupees for it. That which was more money than the poor washerman could have ever imagined in his life. And so all his wants were removed, and now he becomes this very rich person. So whatever poverty he had is removed. Now that's a story about spiritual life. See, he had the diamond all through, but he didn't know what he had. We have the diamond, which can remove all our wants. We have it right now. And we are aware of it. We are using it. But we do not know how valuable it is. We do not know its true depth. We will see, like that washerman, when we come to Shankaracharya, who's like the diamond merchant, he will show us the diamond that we have in our possession. Over the next 2 days, we will see. So, we are using this diamond, which we have. What is this diamond? We are using, how are we using it? Right now, we are using it to see me. You're using it to think and to talk and to be curious. What is he talking about? We are using that. Shankaracharya will point it out to us. So we already have it. It needs to be pointed out to us. So that pointing out, that insight into what already exists, that is Advaita Vedanta. I would like to put it this way. If you ask what is Advaita Vedanta, the spiritual journey, in any path, it's a spiritual journey. The very fact that you say a path, it means it's a spiritual journey. But what kind of a journey is it? It's not a journey in space. Many of us, we have come from different parts of this vast and beautiful land. Some have come from Canada. We journeyed in space. Advaita Vedanta is not a journey in space. It's not a journey to the holy city of Benares or Mecca or Jerusalem. It's not a journey from here to heaven, to Vaikuntha, the abode of Vishnu, or to the pure land of the Buddha. It's not a journey from one place to another. Sometimes you see when you're coming across a big board, heaven is a place. Okay, which means this is not heaven. That is heaven. It's not a journey like that, not from one place to another. What Advaita Vedanta is going to talk about, what they're going to point out, is present right here. It's everywhere. It's right here. It's not a journey in time. Sometimes spiritual journey is put forward as a journey in time. Not now, but after the coming of the prophet or the Messiah or the avatar, after the coming of the next Kalki avatar. In Hinduism, we have this avatar. In Christianity, the coming of the of Jesus again, the second coming. Wait in time, or wait after death. Look at the words after. After means time. It's a time word. Advaita Vedanta is not a journey in time. That after something, after samadhi. This is Swami, at least enlightenment, after enlightenment. Oh, no. Advaita Vedanta doesn't say it will happen to us after enlightenment. Enlightenment is only enlightenment. It reveals what already exists. We'll just see, oh, it was here all along, and I didn't see it. So it's not a journey in time, it's not a journey in space, it's not even a journey from yourself to something else. There is God, and I will realize God, find God, see God. Not even that. It is you yourself, it is I myself, our own inner reality. Not from one place to another, not from one time to another time, not even from one object to, not even from yourself to something else. It's right here, right now, and it is ourselves. Then what is the path? What is the journey in Advaita Vedanta? It is a journey from ignorance to knowledge. Ajnana in Sanskrit means ignorance. Jnana means knowledge. From not knowing, not realizing, not seeing, to knowing, realizing, seeing. Now some of you looking puzzled. Remember, what I'm doing here is drilling down to the essential core of Advaita Vedanta. I'm not knocking or criticizing, what's the word used here? Dissing. Devotion or meditation, I'm not, or traditional religion, not at all. Not at all. All of them have their place, and we'll see what role they play. But we are taking a particular paradigm here. Let's just remember, for the next 2.5 days, we are trying to take the paradigm of Advaita Vedanta. There are advantages to this paradigm. If I want to advertise this, the advantages, one would be it's very direct. It points to something here and now and all the time. It is also, don't mistake me at all, but I must say it, it's also effortless. Now there's a lot of smiles around. But don't misunderstand me. There can be a lot of effort involved. There's a lot of effort at other things which are peripheral, which surround this spiritual quest. But the enlightenment which they speak about is effortless as you yourself are effortless. What work do you have to put to be yourself? You are yourself, whatever you do. So this is the core idea of Advaita Vedanta. What is the point of all of this? Advaita Vedanta, in common with all other spiritual paths, at least the Indian paradigm of spirituality, is to overcome suffering. Dukkha nivritti. Overcome suffering. The Buddha's quest, when he started off on his quest, is there is suffering. Is there a solution to suffering? Is there an escape from suffering? One of the ancient texts, Sarvadarshana Sangraha, 600 years ago in India, which is a collection of different Indian spiritual paths. It says that these spiritual seekers, teachers, they are like doctors. Chikitsaka iva. There are many doctors here. What do? They identify the symptoms and the disease. Then they look for a cause of the disease, and they see whether the cause can be removed or not. Is it curable, incurable? And they find it's removable, there's a cure to it, and there is a treatment, a process of treatment. So like the Buddha, the disease is suffering. First noble truth, all is suffering. And the disease has a cause. He says, second noble truth, desire is the cause. And the disease has a cure, there's an escape from suffering. Nirvana is possible. Heinrich Zimmer, a famous Indologist and philosopher, he said, contrary to appearances, the philosophies of India are positive. They are optimistic. They're not pessimistic. What is pessimistic? When you say all is suffering and that's it. It is positive. Because all of these philosophies of India, except the materialist, the Charvaka, all the other teachings, whether Hindu or Buddhist or Jain or whatever, all of them say a solution to suffering is possible. There is an escape from suffering. There is a transcendence of limitation and suffering and misery. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is fulfillment. Ananda prapti. Our very nature is bliss, and how do I realize that and benefit from that? How do I get the full benefit of the diamond? That's the whole purpose. So having said that, let me quickly come to, give me a 10-minute warning and a 5-minute warning, right? When we, though we are in quest of the timeless, we still have to operate within the bounds of the temporal, time and space. Yeah. So, Advaita Vedanta, we know, if you ask the question, what is Advaita Vedanta? Textually, the fundamentals of Advaita Vedanta are in the Upanishads. The texts called the Upanishads. In fact, the definition of Vedanta is Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramanam. Vedanta is the source of spiritual knowledge called the Upanishads. So these are texts found in the Vedas, the holy books of the Hindus. Now, based on these Upanishads, Sri Krishna taught Arjuna the famous text Bhagavad Gita. In fact, one text, if you want to take from the Vedanta tradition or the Hindu tradition, if you ask for one book, it is the Bhagavad Gita. But many people do not know. Sri Krishna was liberally borrowing from the Upanishads. Sometimes the exact verses are there, the mantras in the Bhagavad Gita. So the second pillar of Advaita Vedanta is the Bhagavad Gita. And there's one more called the Brahma Sutras, which is a philosophical investigation into the teachings, a systematization, if you will, of the Upanishads. So this tripod, this is called in Sanskrit Prasthanatraya, the triple foundation or the triple canon of Vedanta. But there are many, many other texts. Shankaracharya, who wrote commentaries on these major texts, but he also wrote a number of independent works. Prakaranas. Prakaranas are introductory works, smaller works, which sum up the essence of Vedanta. One of them is the book which you have, the Manisha Panchakam. Very quickly, the background, the story, and then I will be done. The story goes like this. Adi Shankaracharya, about 1400 years ago, the great teacher of, I'm not saying founder, because he is not the founder of Advaita Vedanta. He is what is called Bhashyakara, the great commentator on the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita and the Brahma Sutras. He, with a group of his disciples, was in the holy city of Banaras, Kashi, and after a holy dip in the holy river Ganga, he is walking down the narrow, and believe you me, they are narrow lanes of Banaras, when the road is blocked on the other side by a Chandala, a member of one of the lowest castes. It was a very rigid caste system in India in those days. And so this person comes of fearsome aspect. He is tall and powerfully built with matted hair, grimy looking. Now there are different versions of the story. In one, he has got a group of dogs, which are again considered unclean by upper caste Brahmins. Or in another version of the story, he's carrying a load of meat which would be repulsive to the purely vegetarian Shankara, who was before becoming a monk, a high caste Brahmin from Kerala. Whatever it is, Shankara reacts like one would expect from somebody of his class in India in those days. He says, "Move out, get thee away from me." So move out, gacha in Sanskrit, gacha, away from me. And this Chandala, this fearsome person blocking the road, he, in most eloquent Sanskrit, he bursts out with a challenge to Shankara. So there are two verses which are not part of the Manisha Panchakam, but they are introductions to the Manisha Panchakam. So I just read out these two verses quickly. What does the Chandala say? He says, Annamayad annamayam athava chaitanyam eva chaitanya dvijavara duri kattum vanchasi kim bruhi gaccha gaccheti. O most noble of Brahmins. Though it's not quite appropriate to call Shankara that, because after becoming a monk you don't remain a Brahmin or a member of any other caste. But anyway, he does come from a Brahmin, and he is being very casteist by telling the Chandala to move away. So that in that sense it's appropriate to be challenged. He says, Dvija, the word Dvija means twice born. Born again. Yeah, I saw this cartoon, born again Christian. So born again Christian confronts a Hindu and says, "I'm a born again Christian." And Hindu looks puzzled and he says, "Yes, but I'm a born again and again and again and again and again." Not quite in that sense born again. But the sense in which a Christian might say born again Christian, that's actually a sense in which Dvija is twice born. For the first birth is a physical birth. But the second birth is a cultural, educational, spiritual birth. The second birth is when the sacred thread is given and the child is ready for Vedic studies. So, second birth. Upanayana, the sacred thread ceremony is performed. Dvija. And when the child studies the Vedas and becomes a master of this sacred lore, this person is called Vipra. Same. The word Dvija, Vipra and Brahmin, they all mean the same thing, but there are shades of difference. Dvija, the Sanskrit word literally means twice born. Vipra means wise. Vipra. If you write in English, V-I-P-R-A. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti, we find it in many Vedanta societies. The truth is one and the wise speak of it differently. The wise means here, the same Brahmin is a person who has not only got the sacred thread, but also studied the Vedas, now has mastered the sacred lore, the teachings. And the same Brahmin, when the person gets enlightenment, realizes one's nature as Brahman. So the real meaning, the essential meaning, the highest meaning of Brahmin is a person who has got Brahma Jnana, has become enlightened. Normally we say Brahmin is a Brahmin by birth, by caste, but the real meaning is Brahmagya, the knower of Brahman. And that's how it's used in many of the Upanishads and in the Gita. So Brahmin, so three meanings, the same thing. Brahmin, when they get the sacred thread, Dvija, twice born. You're born into spiritual life or religious life. Reading, finish your course of studies, Vipra, the wise. And finally, enlightened one, Brahmin, a true Brahmin. Anyway, so this Chandala challenges him, O most noble among the twice born, what do you want to what are you saying, get away, what should get away from what? This body from that body? Because both bodies are bodies. They're made of flesh and blood and bones and all sorts of unmentionable gooey stuff, you know. Just because it's a nice packaging, a cover, skin, the truth is that it's pretty nasty. Your body and my body too. So you're saying this body should move away from the body. The word he uses is annamayam. Annamayam means a modification of food. What we eat and drink, it becomes this. Or, here he displays a knowledge of Shankara's philosophy. Are you saying consciousness should move away from consciousness? How is that possible? In your philosophy, O Shankara, isn't it one consciousness? You speak about one indivisible spiritual consciousness, one existence, consciousness, bliss, Sat Chit Ananda. How can that be divided? I remember long ago, in one of our ashrams in India, the Swami had, I was a junior monk. Now, it had many little branches. One of the branches is where little children study. You know, the children from poor families, they get like a Sunday school, and many things are there. They learn sports, and so that runs on. All of these run on donations. So a rich person came and he wanted to donate a certain amount of money, and he wanted a plaque to be put up in the name of his father and mother, which said, he gave what is to be said there. He said, in the glory of Sri Ramakrishna, who has come as a part of that indivisible existence, consciousness, bliss. Now look at the contradiction. Part of indivisible. In Bengali, Akhanda Satchidanandir Khanda Swarupai. Now the Swami, he flew into a rage. He said, no, I will not allow the indivisible to be divided. And how we knew, he started calling the young Swamis. I don't know, he was doing it in fun or whatever, but he seemed pretty serious. What is your opinion? He asked me, and he asked some others. Now the Swami, who was in charge of that little center where the kids were being taught, who would have received the donation for that center, he was standing outside with a worried look. You know, he was saying, I'm not really worried about the indivisible spirit Brahman, but I don't want the donation to be divided. How can consciousness move away from consciousness? How are we doing for time? We've got time. And then he goes on. So what are you saying? King bruhi gaccha gaccha iti. What are you saying that move away, move away? And then you can imagine Shankara and his disciples, they stand stunned to be confronted with this philosophical challenge from the most unexpected source. And then the Chandala, he expounds further. The next verse is pretty deep. But this is not part of the Manisha Panchakam itself, but this is the introduction. Kim Gangambuni Bimbite Ambaramano Chandala Vati Paya Purevantaramasti Kanchana Ghati Mritkumbhayorvambare Pratyag Vastuni Nistaranga Sahajananda Avabodhambudhau Viproyam Swapachoyam Ityapi Mahan Koyam Vibheda Brahma. Very technical, very deep. In fact, all of Advaita Vedanta is poured into it, and showing Shankara that he knows Shankara's philosophy backwards and forwards. And he says, That infinite ocean, limitless ocean, ocean of what? Not of water. Ananda avabodha. Avabodha means consciousness. Literally it means understanding, but consciousness, awareness. And ananda, blissful awareness, bliss and awareness, and limitless. And nistaranga, without waves. Ocean has waves. This has no waves. It's an unchanging, limitless expanse of consciousness and bliss. Oh, really? How nice. Where is that? Pratyak vastu. It's inside you. It is you, the inner self, the one which we experience as I, this one inside. Pratyak vastu. In that inner existence, in inner being, our inner being, which is like an infinite expanse of a waveless ocean of consciousness and bliss. What difference is there between a noble Brahmin like you and a Chandala like me? The literal word here is Shwapacha, dog eater. So that person would be looked down in India and America also, because nobody loves the dogs more than, especially in Manhattan, I see everybody. So, but like a Chandala like me and a high class Brahmin like you, what difference is there from that perspective? Koyam vibheda brahma. Not only is difference is there, where is this delusion of difference coming in you? Then he gives two examples. The sun, here standing for that infinite expanse of consciousness and bliss. The sun, the example. The sun in the sky, when it is reflected in the holy waters of the Ganga water flowing in Benares, or the same sun reflected in the ditch water in the slum where I live. He lives in a slum. What difference does it make to the sun itself? Yeah. So what is the water of the Ganga? It's the body and the mind. You may think that you're a very pure person, a holy person, worshipped, revered and worshipped, and you might think that I am a low caste person, despised and looked down upon. But in both of us, that inner self, which is an unbroken expanse of consciousness, unlimited expanse of consciousness and bliss, that is exactly the same. Just like the sun reflected in water. Does not matter what kind of water it is. The pure water of the Ganga does not make the sun any purer. The dirty water of the ditch does not make the sun dirty. So the reality, your reality and my reality are exactly the same. It is no difference whether it is in this body and mind or that body and mind. One example. The second example he gives is space. The space in a golden pot and the space in a clay pot. As far as space is concerned, it's the same space. The space in a golden pot does not become golden. The space in a clay pot does not become earthy or muddy. It does not even matter what you use the pot for. You can store Ganga water, the holy water of the Ganga, in the golden pot. You can use the clay pot as a spittoon or something like that. And so one you would consider dirty, another one considered to be holy and used for a religious function. But in both cases, the space which they occupy, that space is not affected at all. Space in the pot, but there's actually no space in the pot. It's the pot is in space. You see, there's a glass of water here. Now, when I move the glass of water, is the water moving with the glass?
Yes.
Don't seem to be too sure.
Yes.
Obviously, when I say bring me a glass of water, it would make a big mess if you brought the glass and the water stayed behind. But consider this. Half of the glass is empty. The proverbial half empty or half full. Half of the glass is empty. So let's say we just forget the air for the time being. We just say the space in that glass. So is the space moving with the glass? It would certainly appear so. When I'm moving the glass, the water is certainly moving. And the space? People are even less sure. Some are saying, yeah, it's moving. Somebody actually quarreled with me. That, no, the space is moving with the glass. It looks like that. See, the space is moving. Obviously not. The glass is moving through space. Yeah. So the space is absolutely unaffected. It is far subtler than the pot, the golden pot or the clay pot. The space is completely unaffected by the nature of the pot. What does that mean? Just like the sun and the water example, the space and pot example, the pot stands for the body and the mind, the body-mind complex. And space stands for this infinite ocean of existence consciousness is talking about. That is not at all affected, just as no matter what the nature of the pot, it does not affect the space. No matter what the nature of the body and mind, it does not affect that existence consciousness, that consciousness bliss. So good for that. What about me? You are that consciousness bliss. Oh Shankara, what you are, that I am. This is what he says. So this is the introduction. It's like a challenge to Shankaracharya. And Shankaracharya responds to this by immediately he composes 5 verses. Panchakam, the word Panchakam means group of 5. Panchakam, 5 verses on Manisha. Manisha, it literally means that, if you derive it in Sanskrit, it will mean that which is the lord of the mind. Mana is mind. Manit means the lord of the mind. Lord of the mind is buddhi, vijnana or intellect. So mind and the one which rules over the mind is intellect. And Manisha means that which belongs to the intellect. Basically, what does he mean? What belongs to the intellect? Wisdom, knowledge, jnana. In Sanskrit, jnana. Manisha means wisdom or spiritual knowledge, spiritual insight. Manisha Panchakam, 5 verses on spiritual insight. That's the meaning. And Shankaracharya composes this, and in some of the verses he ends with Chandalo astu Dvijo astuva Guru ityesha manisha mama. Let this person who has got knowledge like this, that I am Brahman, I am existence, consciousness, bliss, the one who has actually realized this, that person, let it be whatever, let that person be a Brahmin, let that person be a Chandala, clay pot, golden pot, whatever it is, this person is my Guru. This person is my spiritual master. And he bows down to the Chandala. And there are variations on the story. One variation is that Benares is the city of Lord Vishwanath, Shiva in the form of Vishwanath. So Lord Vishwanath or Shiva has come in the form of the Chandala to teach Shankaracharya an application of Vedantic insight. How do you manifest it in life? Not just read about it, not just argue about it, but actually apply it, see the sameness, the same divinity everywhere. So this is the background, and we will see what Shankaracharya has done is, in the 5 verses, he has poured the entire essence of Advaita Vedanta. Now when we go through these verses, how are we doing for time?
20 minutes.
Oh, 20 minutes. I think they're stretching.
It's not space, it's time.
We are going beyond space and time. Yes. So what do we do with this teaching? Here is the approach. In Advaita Vedanta, the approach, what you do with the teaching is, we all know, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Literally hearing, thinking, and meditating. But if you go closer, take a closer look, what do you do with this? Hearing literally means not just listening, of course, but understanding what the teaching is. Let me simplify it even more. Ask yourself 3 questions. That what the teaching was Do I know what the teaching was? If somebody asks me, okay, this was the class. You went to the class and you're out of the class now. What did you hear? Can I give a fair summary? Or will you say, I dozed off, I really don't know. I'll look at the recording later on. Then the first stage is not complete. The first stage is complete when I can repeat to my own satisfaction. In the classical schools of Vedanta, they would ask everybody to memorize. Don't look so scared, I won't do that. They would ask you to memorize the original verses. But so that you can at least say, I know what the teaching is. And I have read it. Here is the teaching. That's the foundation. So that is the first stage. The first stage is complete when I can say, this, I can summarize the teaching. This is what they said. This is what he said. Or this is what the text said. 1. Then what is the problem? The problem comes next is, I know what you said, I know what the book says, but I don't get it. I have some problems. I have some questions. I am not convinced. It's not enough to say, I am not convinced. You also have to say, why are you not convinced? You have to pin down your problem. Which part of it is difficult? So the second stage comes when you mananam, which is thinking about it, reasoning about it, arguing about it. That's why we have the satsang sessions. You can ask the questions there. Ask the question, write it down, I'll pick it up and I'll answer it, and I'll also interact with you to follow up. Don't be too eager. When is he going to get to my question, my question? Often you will see the person who asks the question, it might be a question in many people's minds. And sometimes the answer, if you're quietly sitting in a corner and listening, the answer might work for you rather than for the person I'm addressing directly. So the questions are questions everybody has. So this is the second stage, where I can say at the end of the second stage is complete when I can claim, I have not only heard what the teaching says, I can tell you what the teaching is, and now I get it. In the first stage, I know what the teaching is, but I don't get it. I'm not convinced. I'm not persuaded. Second stage is, I am convinced. I get it. Then what remains? I get it, but it feels intellectual. I feel that I have learned a clever philosophy, but my life is not transformed. You claimed, you pushed this philosophy with the claim that my suffering would be transcended, that I would get peace and satisfaction, fulfillment. I haven't got that yet. I'll take you to consumer court. So that is the third stage, nididhyasana, where this problem that, technically it is called contrary tendencies. We'll come to that later. Viparita bhavana, that is contrary tendencies. That I know what the teaching is, I am convinced about it, but I don't see it in my life. How do you address that? That's the third stage. Third stage is this meditation, nididhyasana. We'll speak about it briefly. And after which I should be able to say, not only do I know the teaching, not only am I convinced about it, it's real for me. There's still something remaining to be done after that, but it's real for me. So these are the three stages. This is what we will do with the teachings. As we go through it, tomorrow and day after, listen carefully so that I can say, yeah, I know what you said, Swami. Second, I get what you said, Swami. Third, fact or theory. If it's not a fact yet, you have to tell me at which point it stops being a fact. So, Advaita Vedanta claims whatever is in this book, no matter how incredible it might sound, it's a fact right now. It's a fact right now. So if you say that, no, it's not a fact yet for me, I understand it up to this point, but that remains, I have to be enlightened, I have to get samadhi, I have to get this mystical experience, and then it will be. But remember, I said, it's not a journey in time. If it's there, all of it, what they claim, it must be here and true for all of us right now. All of it is a fact, just now. So where does it stop being a fact? At which stage? You ask and we'll work it out. We'll see. Those are some of the best questions. Questions also are of three kinds. One is at the first stage, where I have to supply information. What is the teaching? The second stage, where it's argument. You have you have a problem with it. You raise it, and I'll try to answer and convince you. Persuasive. And the third stage is the most interesting, where you don't need information. You don't need persuading, but you want the teacher to make it real for you, so that the benefits start flowing immediately. And it's possible, actually. And that kind of question is the most valuable kind of question. Advaita Vedanta is, in spite of its vast literature and ancient traditions, it's very easily summed up. And it's summed up in brief sentences. A single sentence which sums up the entire teaching of Advaita Vedanta. These Vedic sentences are called Mahavakya. Maha literally means the vast or the great, and Vakya means sentence. So great sentence, not in the sense of a long sentence, but the sense of a profound sentence. In Sanskrit, Arthato Mahan. That means profound in meaning, deep in meaning. And there are many such sentences. All of them mean the same thing. They all mean the same thing. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, that thou art. This very self is the infinite. All of them mean the same thing, that you are the infinite existence, consciousness, bliss. There are many such sentences scattered throughout the Vedas, but for convention, from each of the 4 Vedas, one such sentence is picked, representative. So there are, conventionally speaking, in Advaita tradition, there are 4 such great sentences, 4 Mahavakyas. And let me just write it down. From the Rig Veda, is this too small? Little bigger?
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. In the Rig Veda, in the Aitareya Upanishad, I'm writing in brief, Aitareya Upanishad. The sentence is Prajnanam Brahma. This is one Mahavakya. The sentence is Prajnanam Brahma. What does it mean? Consciousness is Brahman. By Brahman, it means the ultimate reality, the vast, the infinite. So consciousness is the ultimate reality. Then the second Mahavakya would be, even the numbering is conventional. There's no particular reason to first, second, and third, but conventionally the Rig Veda is taken as the oldest of the Vedas in one sense. That's why you start with that. The second one, let me put it this way. Why I'm mentioning this is, the 5 verses which we shall study, Manisha Panchakam, the 5 verses composed by Shankaracharya. You remember the story. He is confronted by the Chandala and he replies in these 5 verses. The first 4 verses, each of those verses is based on one of these Mahavakyas. One of these great sentences forms the basis for each of these verses. So the first verse, which we will study now, this foundational, is based on this Mahavakya. Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is the ultimate reality. The second verse, which we shall study in the next session, is based on the Yajurveda Mahavakya, Aham Brahmasmi. The Veda is Yajurveda. The Upanishad is the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. I'm not writing the whole thing, which is literally the biggest Upanishad in terms of bulk. And the Mahavakya, the sentence is Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, which all of us can legitimately claim, I am Brahman. Aham in Sanskrit, Aham means I, Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. The third verse, which we shall study again in the second session. Did I flip that too fast? I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. That's from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So this is the actual sentence. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. The beauty of these sentences is if someone asks you, what's all this about? Just one sentence is enough. Any one of them. Then the third verse, which again we shall study this afternoon, third verse of Manisha Panchakam is based on the Samaveda Mahavakya Tattvamasi. Samaveda. And that's from the Chandogya Upanishad. 6th chapter. Chandogya Upanishad. This is the most famous Mahavakya. Tattvamasi, that thou art. That meaning Brahman, thou meaning you, art, that thou art, or you are that. And the fourth verse, which we shall study tomorrow, of the Manisha Panchakam, is based on the last Mahavakya, the Atharva Veda Mahavakya. And it is from the Mandukya Upanishad, which happens to be the smallest of the Upanishads, the shortest. And the Mahavakya is Ayam Atma Brahma. Ayam Atma Brahma. Which means this self. Which self? This self. This self is Brahman. And they all, you can see, they mean the same thing. This awareness which we feel right now within ourselves, this sentience, awareness, consciousness, whatever you call it, this, if you really know it as it is the ultimate reality of this universe, of all existence. Or, I am Brahman, can't get any more direct than that. Or, that thou art, the teacher tells you, that reality, ultimate reality, is you. Or, this very self is Brahman. They all mean the same thing. And each of the verses, the first 4 verses, they are built around each of these Mahavakyas. Sometimes, in the case of the third Mahavakya, for example, Tattvamasi, the link between the verse we shall study and the Mahavakya is rather tenuous, but it's there. You can find the trace there. So that's 4 verses of the Manisha Panchakam, and the 5th one is a general summary of the whole teaching. So that's what is going to happen. The first one is built around consciousness. This consciousness is Brahman. Which consciousness? What we all feel within ourselves right now. All right. Now, as you can see in all of them, you are Brahman or I am Brahman. This very self is Brahman, but it does not feel like that. I'm sorry, were you able to hear till now? Yeah. But it does not feel like that. Whatever Brahman is, we don't feel very Brahman-like. The problem is that we are convinced beyond any questioning that we know what we are. I know that I am this body and mind. I feel it, that I am this person, this limited body and mind. Whatever I am, I stop. I know this much, that I definitely stop here. The limit of my existence is at the tip of my finger, Anakhagra, the Upanishad says, I extend till the tip of my fingernails. Beyond that, not me. It may be you or anything else, but I stop here. This is my limit. This is what we are convinced about. And the Upanishads and Vedanta insists we are wrong. We are deeply, deeply wrong. Swami Vivekananda here in America, he would often say, he would meet his American disciples, sometimes he would say with a touch of pathos, if only you knew yourself as you truly are. So this is really the task of Vedanta, to investigate what we are. So all of these Mahavakyas, they all start with us. It's not an investigation of the world outside, but an investigation into ourselves, into what we are, who we are or what we are. The claim is that we do not know ourselves as we truly are. I repeated this earlier, but I really like this quote from Mark Twain, who says that it's not what we do not know that gets us into trouble. It's just what we think, it just ain't so. That's what gets us into trouble. I am Brahman, or I am Shiva, I am that ultimate reality. It just ain't so. That's what's got us into this trouble. That's why we are in samsara. The process of Vedanta, it does not do really anything to you. It just uncovers. You discover something which was already there. So you are not becoming Brahman, you are not being transformed into God, 50% Brahman, 75% Brahman, and now you have those progress bars in computers, moving 50%, 80%, 90%, and sometimes it gets stuck and goes round and round and round. It often feels like that in spiritual life, seems to be stuck going round and round, and not 50 or 80%, at 20% or 25% or something like that. Maybe next life, start all over again. No. The process of Vedanta is different. I cannot explain it better, illustrate it but better than this very nice story. We introduced the washerman yesterday. Do you remember the story of the diamond and the washerman? Let's go back to our friend the washerman. And if you go to a riverbank in India and see the washerman at work, you will see another character. You have to introduce another important character today. The washerman's donkey. So usually the washerman would go around with this donkey on which he would load the laundry and take it to the riverbank and wash it, and then they would spread it out in the hot sun, something like this, outside to dry, and then he would neatly fold it, put it back on the donkey's back, and then drive the donkey back to home, and next day he would go out on his delivery rounds and give back your clean laundry. So that's how it worked. So donkey is an essential part of it. He's the transport, the SUV. Now, this washerman, he's got this load of clothes, he comes to the riverbank, a distance from his house in the village, and then, oh my God, he discovers that he has forgotten to get the rope with which to tie the donkey. Now he's going to be at work near the river. He can't afford to have the donkey wandering off. That would be a disaster. He would be helpless without the donkey. Imagine if your car just took it into its head to drive off by itself. It can happen, they are looking into it now. The self-driving cars, and the way it would work is exactly like that. It would be controlled by nothing other than your mobile phone. You would say, come and pick me up. It would be far away, it's some parking lot, and then it will drive itself down, pick you up and drop you up and drive itself away again. And you have to call it with your mobile phone. That's how they're planning it. Now it's a disaster. How will he tie the donkey? And he's worried while this gentleman, educated man from the village walks past, and he says, "Sir, I am undone. What can I do? I can't work. I can't leave the donkey here. It will just wander off." And that man says, "Oh, that's just easy. Just pretend to tie it. Just go through the motions. Just like that. Yes, just like that. Do it." And so he does it. He just pretends he's tying the donkey, and the donkey is watching. And this man takes the clothes off the donkey and retreats backwards, slowly watching the donkey, and the donkey is watching him too. And he goes about his business, looking back, and the donkey is just there. It's there munching grass or whatever, but it's not moving. And it's amazing, miracle. There's no rope at all. And when he's done, the clothes are dried and folded, he brings it back to the donkey and says, "Hut, move." Donkey doesn't move. And he says, "My God, what have you done? It's black magic." And he runs to that man's house. "Sir, sir, you have put me in sore trouble. Now donkey doesn't move. I can't go back home." Oh, he says, "Just easy, you pretend to untie it." Yes. And he goes back and he does that, unties it like that, pretends to. And the donkey watches, and then he says, "Move," and the donkey moves. Advaita Vedanta works like that. It may not feel like that. It may feel that we are really tied to this samsara, to this world, to our problems. But when it works, you begin to see, I never was in trouble in samsara. Swami Vivekananda's beautiful poem, Song of the Sannyasi. "Thine only is the hand that holds the rope that drags thee on." All our suffering. Thine only is the hand that holds the rope that drags thee on. Then solution, let go thy hold, sannyasi bold. He's talking to a monk. Let go thy hold, sannyasi bold. Say Om Tat Sat Om. It's a very beautiful poem, but the difficulty is in letting go of the hold. We have such a death grip. How do you do that? That's what Vedanta teaches. Gently, it opens our grip, finger by finger, and so we let go. So the first verse of Manisha Panchakam is foundational. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu Sfutatara Ya Samvidujrimbhate Ya Brahmadi Pipilikantat Tanushu Prota Jagat Sakshini Saivaham Nacha Drishya Vastu Iti Dridha Pragyapi Yasyasti Chet Chandalo Vastu Satu Dvijo Vastu Guru Ityesha Manisha Mama. So what is it doing? An investigation into our experience, into our daily experience. First of all, talking about the very nature of consciousness. Note something. Our whole life is a series of experiences. A series of experiences. Just pay attention to, say, a very small set of experiences. Like, for example, here, look at the table. And look at the book, and maybe look outside at a cactus or something like that. Now you saw three things, and each of these three things appeared to you, the consciousness. You can put it in this way. Each experience is different. You experienced a book. You experienced a table, and you experienced a cactus, maybe. And all of them, one after another, all three, they appeared to you, the consciousness. You, the consciousness, yes, of course, through the mind and the senses, you see a book, you see this table, and you see this cactus. The objects are different. 1, 2, 3. 3 different objects came before us. But the consciousness which experienced them is the same. It's like this light. I hold up different objects, a pen. What's happening here? Here's a pen shining in the light. Now, here is a book shining in the light. And now, here's my hand shining in the light. Pen, book, hand, change. 3 different objects. See, one object, second object, and third object. But the light which reveals all of them, each of them, is the same light. Exactly in the same way, can we look at our experiences when we see different things? The one common thing is they are all appearing to me. They are all appearing to you. You are the common thing in all of these experiences. By you, I mean very specifically the consciousness or the awareness which experiences these three. Why only 3 objects or 4 objects? Throughout the day we see hundreds and hundreds of objects. All objects, they appear to the same pair of eyes. And they are revealed to the same mind, and beyond them the same consciousness. So the same awareness experiences, sees all objects throughout the day. Why only seeing? You hear sound and music and speech and noise and even the absence of noise or silence. These are experiences through the ear. Inputs come and they are in the same awareness. That awareness which saw things, that awareness hears things. Sensations, touch, external and internal, smell, taste, all of the sense organs, they bring in inputs and dump it into the mind, and the mind is revealed, is illumined by the light of consciousness. Not a material light, but the light of awareness. That light of awareness does not change. Notice what is changing? The objects are changing. Your experiences, our experiences are all different from each other. Throughout the morning, throughout the day, throughout our lifetimes, we have a series of experiences. The moment you say series, it means the experiences are all different from each other. But how does one experience differ from the other experience? It differs because of the objects are different. The things which we experience are different. You saw a pen and a hand and a book. They're all different from each other, and therefore different experience. But the awareness does not change. It seems to change. It seems to change because what is happening is, when I see a pen, and this image is created in the retina, and there's some kind of optical nerves, and to take it to the brain, and then it's reconstructed there somehow, we don't know, and presented to the mind. And the mind, there is a vritti, a thought current, a thought wave, whose content is this pen. It's a thought about a pen. And that thought is revealed by awareness. Object, sense organ, mind, consciousness. Consciousness is like a constant light, and the various thoughts which come up in the mind are because of external inputs. And that one constant consciousness which you are, that shines upon these thought waves and reveals them and gives us our experience. In fact, if you say define an experience, what's an experience? What's the most general definition possible of an experience? Wouldn't you just say it is consciousness plus its object? Consciousness, awareness, I, and an object, whatever that object is. Here is a pen, it's an object, and you are aware of it. In between there is a whole process. We know the light is reflected on the pen, goes to your eyes, and then through the entire process of optical perception, goes to the brain. After which what happens, nobody knows. There is some minute electrical activity in the brains, in the neurons, after which science stops. But we know, all of us know what happens because we experience it. We see a pen. It's a thought in the mind, and that's revealed by consciousness. So a series of experiences throughout the day, and that constitutes our daily life. In fact, there is a beautiful verse in the Panchadashi, another Vedantic text, written about 600 years ago, in the first chapter. Shabda sparshadayo vedya Vaichitra jagare prithak tato vibhakta tat samvid aikarupyana bhidyate. Beautiful, very precise verse. It says, all our experiences, they are of different sounds, shabdaha, sounds, touches, sparshaha, etc. etc. means forms which we see, smells which we smell, taste, different perceptions. And not only that, go deeper, thoughts, desires, memories. So all of these, they come and go, they are all distinct from each other. They are all different from each other. They are different entities. But the consciousness, the word used is samvit, consciousness. The consciousness which illumines them That does not differ. That is one and the same throughout. So it's like it's one constant light. Are you with me so far? Otherwise you can put a little chit in the basket there. Now what happens? At the end of the day we fall asleep, and this entire waking life shifts out of our experience, and a series of dreams takes its place. And in the dream we have a dream world. There are people, we experience people and places and events taking place. We are doing things are happening. It's a dream world, like a reconstruction, a virtual reconstruction of our waking world. But what Vedanta is interested in is not the contents of our dreams. Your therapist will be interested in the contents of your dreams. What Vedanta is interested in is what is experiencing a dream. And the answer is exactly the same consciousness which was experiencing the waking. Same consciousness illumines the dream. Yeah. It is true that dream, what's the difference between dream and waking from a Vedantic perspective? Waking is defined as when our sense organs come in contact with the external world. That is waking, and we experience that. When the sense organs shut down and the entire virtual world is created in the mind, which we understand only after waking up, that entire virtual world is created in the mind, that we call a dream in sleep. But the point they want to make is, in dream also the same consciousness continues. Same consciousness, unbroken, it continues. Thoughts change. The mind has different thoughts in it, different feelings in it. Even the personality changes. The person who is dreaming is actually sleeping on the bed. You're happily on your bed and asleep, and you forget all of that. Otherwise you cannot dream. And then you think maybe you're in Manhattan walking in Central Park, or somebody said Calgary, where it is 8 degrees Celsius and here it's 42. And you're walking there, the world has changed, the experience has changed. Even the body which you are using there, it's a different body which is dreamt up, because your waking body is actually sleeping on bed, and you are walking in Calgary in some other body there. So those experiences are different, but the consciousness which experiences the dream, the claim is, it is one and unbroken consciousness. And then what happens? You fall asleep. Deep sleep. So waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Now there it seems consciousness has stopped. It's like you're not aware anymore. But Vedanta claims that there isn't an absence of consciousness. Vedanta actually makes the claim that consciousness continues in deep sleep. In fact, one good way of appreciating what Vedanta means by consciousness is to look at the deep sleep experience, not fall asleep. In your waking state now, look back upon, consider the deep sleep experience and think in what sense is it an experience. If we can understand in what sense we can call deep sleep an experience, we'll begin to understand what Vedanta means by consciousness. Vedanta does not mean by consciousness thoughts, thinking, does not mean by consciousness feeling, does not mean by consciousness ideas and conceptualization, because the difference between consciousness and the mind is not sharply defined in modern parlance. You see, when we generally talk about consciousness in our common the way we talk, or even in consciousness studies, unfortunately the problem with modern consciousness studies is the difference between mind and consciousness is not appreciated. So what do we mean by consciousness in our general talk? Well, I am thinking, so it is conscious. I am seeing, speaking, it is conscious, I am aware. But generally we mean the activities of the mind and the body and the senses, the conscious mind, body and senses. That's what we mean by consciousness. Vedanta makes a very clear distinction between consciousness and its objects. What's the distinction? Very simple. Once you know it, you can apply it. It's like a sharp knife, which you can apply it to distinguish consciousness from everything else. What is that? In your own experience, in our own experience, whatever we can classify as this, in your experience, whatever you can label as this, that's not consciousness, that's an object. That's an object. That which is not an object, that which you cannot call this, that is consciousness. It's very elegant. You try it in your experience. Can you look at this now? We can try. We're going to go straight into the heart of Vedanta in 3-4 steps right now. In your experience, it's one thing to understand it in conceptually, but actually another thing much more powerful to viscerally experience this thing. You can try it right now. Look at most of us, we have pens, so you can just look at this one. Can you call it this pen? Yeah. Then this is not consciousness. Yeah. Right. So yeah, of course, what are you talking about? All right, we'll go slowly. The eyes with which you see this pen, can you call them these eyes or this eye or these eyes? Can you say that? Yeah. Yes. So this is not consciousness. Now we are closer home. Now not so cocksure anymore. This is not consciousness, because I can call it this. Now the mind within, which is thinking, what is he saying? What is consciousness? This is a thought, right? Can you call it in your own mind? Experience it in your own mind. Can you call it this thought? You see, this is a happy thought, this is a depressing thought. So this, you can use the word this for the thought. Then the thought is not consciousness. What is experiencing that thought? Try, introspect inside right now. What is experiencing that thought? You will find, if you try to do that beyond the thought, you will notice, if you do it yourself, you will find a blankness. You'll just find an absence of thought, a blankness. True or not? Yeah. Now, we are very close home. Can we say this blankness? Yeah. If you can say this blankness, to whom or to what is it this blankness? You can't catch it. If you catch it, it becomes this. But to what is it this? That is itself not consciousness, but it points to the real consciousness, to what our real nature is. Let's try it even more viscerally, even more concrete. Just follow this. I'm going to ask you to locate yourself. This pen, very close, we'll go step by step. This pen, okay, pen is here, you're looking at it? Oh. Baby steps, where are you? Simple answer, where are you? Where? Here, there you are. Okay, there you are. All right. You are watching this pen with the eyes, right? Blink your eyes to get a feel for your eyes. Blink your eyes, right? So there are the eyes. Where are you? With respect to the eyes, where are you? Just look at it. Now you cannot point it out. You are in there somewhere. I am, follow this. You do it yourself. I am in there somewhere experiencing my eyes blinking. Is it not? Yes. Okay. These eyes are part of the body. This body is experienced. The body is here. Where am I? Well, somewhere in the body, experiencing the body. Are you with me? Yeah. All right. Now, subtler. Notice, we have gone from the object to the body. Now, I am somewhere in the body, embodied, experiencing the body as this. Subtler. Breathe in and breathe out, like the morning meditation we did, mindfulness. There is the breath. Did you notice it? With respect to the breath, where are you? Subtler inwards, experiencing the breath somewhere. Inwards, subtler than the breath. To you, the breath is an object. To me, in there, the breath is an object which I experienced. Right? Yes. Now, this thought, I am breathing. I breathe in and breathe out, and the thought comes in my mind, that was an in-breath, that was an out-breath. This thought, with respect to this thought, where am I? Where did I experience this thought from? Where did you experience this thought from? Somewhere inward, subtler than the thought? True or not?
True.
All right. Even subtler, even more inwards, this understanding that I am inwards and the thought is something that is an object which I experienced, this understanding, this knowledge, I am thinking, this kind of understanding, this is also an understanding. This is also an object which I am experiencing. With respect to this understanding, where am I? Experience that. First person experience. And beyond that understanding, if you push further back, that blankness, with respect to that blankness, where am I, the experiencer? All right, so when you are comfortable, just come back again, back to this world. What did we just do? Those who know Vedanta, we just did Panchakosha Viveka, the 5 sheets. The external world, the pen, fine. Then the first sheet, which sheet means Vedanta says we are covered with 5 sheets. The real I, consciousness, is actually, it's as if it was covered by 5 sheets, as if. What are the 5 sheets? First the body. Annamaya kosha, yes, first the body. Go deeper. Pranamaya kosha. Go deeper. The thoughts. Manomaya kosha. The very understanding itself, which we are using right now. Vijnanamaya kosha. Buddhi. Intellect, understanding. Push further, you will just come to a blankness. But even that blankness is a very subtle point. Even the blankness is experienced as an object. True or not? If you say, Swami, and there's nothing more than that, it's just blank. But you experience blankness. What experience blankness? So as you turn inwards from that blankness, you can find no other object. If you can even grasp that the blankness is appearing to what? That one is not an object, that one you cannot call this. You cannot label it as this. What I'm trying to say here is, we are talking about a matter of fact, not a theory, not some kind of abstraction. Let's take it at each stage. We think that, it's a matter of fact, but there's something to be enlightened about, to realize later on when I become a fully enlightened person, a Buddha. No. You can do that, but you can that will only be postponing it. And if you do not do that, who knows, we'll be enlightened right here in this session. You need not attend the other sessions too. This pen, which represents the whole world of objects, the material objects, is it a fact or not? I mean, you don't do Advaita on that, it's an appearance, it's Maya and all. No, don't do that. Just now, would you call it a fact? Yes. And this hall that you are sitting here on the chair, would you call it a fact? Yes. Then come back to the body. This body, would you call it a fact or theory? Fact. And the breath? Fact or theory? Not all of you seem to be convinced. Very important to breathe. It's a good idea always to breathe. Fact. And the thought. Yeah, it's a fact. That thought, That thought was a fact, or is it theoretical? It's a fact. You thought it right now. Your introspection reveals it to you. And beyond that, the understanding. Buddhi. Fact. If you try to push beyond that, you come to a blankness, an absence. That's also a fact. You experience it. How can it not be a fact? And if you are experiencing all this, you must be the experiencer of it all. How can that be theory? How can you postpone that after I become enlightened, that will become a fact? Right now, it's just a theory. No, it's as much a fact, in fact, more of a fact than everything else that you experience. Starting from the pen, to the body, to the breath, to the mind, to the intellect, to the blankness beyond the intellect, all are appearing, changing and disappearing in the light of you, the consciousness. That is what we mean by consciousness. And that continues in waking and in dreaming and in deep sleep. What is deep sleep? Why deep sleep is an important fact? It's because deep sleep can be taken as an example, as a counter-example, that there is no consciousness in deep sleep. No. Vedanta says that deep sleep is not an absence of experience. It's an experience of absence. It's still an experience. Vedanta says that when we wake up from deep sleep, we have there's a universal experience. I slept happily. I did not know anything. I slept peacefully. In every language in the world, there is a corresponding phrase for I slept like a log. Deep sleep. In Bengali, we have ghumiye kada, which means I slept like mud. To understand that, you have to understand the heat of Bengal, which is as hot as this, plus 100% humidity. So if you go into deep sleep in that heat, you'll wake up feeling like mud. So that's where but deep sleep, we have this in every language in the world. And if we have a language, if we are reporting it, it must be an experience. And yet, remember, it's how strange an experience is it? Because I don't experience the world in deep sleep. I don't experience the body in deep sleep. I don't even experience dreams in deep sleep. I don't even experience I in deep sleep. It's an experience of absence of everything, but still an experience. It's an experience like the blankness you experience now when you push beyond the intellect. If you try intensely to shut down all thoughts, it's not possible in the waking state, but for an instant or two it's possible. Now that is a kind of a prefiguration, a kind of example of deep sleep. So consciousness continues. Consciousness continues in the waking, illumining all your sense experiences. It continues in dream, illumining all the contents of your dreams. And it continues after dreams when the mind shuts down. Waking state, sense organs are functioning. Dream state, sense organs have shut down, but the mind continues to function. In deep sleep state, both sense organs and mind have shut down, but awareness continues. So all of this comes and goes, and after that again the waking state or the dream state comes up. So it's continuously cycles back and forth, and that is what we call one day. One day. That's the story of one day. Waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. The contents of which are various sense experiences, various dreams. Of course, when we are having sense experiences, we are also thinking. Thinking and feeling and desiring and enjoying and suffering, and dreams and blankness, and again waking, again dreaming, again deep sleep. Now the Upanishads, the Manisha Panchakam says, in all our waking, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptishu, in our waking, dreaming and deep sleep, Sfutatara, clearly, unmistakably, Ya Samvid Ujrimbhate, that consciousness which clearly shines forth. Ujrimbhate means swells forth, expands forth, flashes forth. And the word used is samvit, consciousness. That consciousness which is shining on all our experiences. Remember, as not this consciousness. Anything that you can designate as this is an object to consciousness. But you are not any of those objects. You are this consciousness. So Swami, if you're careful, you'll say, didn't you make a little jump here? So you're saying that there's consciousness all throughout. But how do you say that I am that consciousness? The simple exercise which we did, what you can designate as this. The exercise, this pen. And I asked you, where are you? You'll say, I'm there. And here I am. This body, where are you? Somewhere in there. I am somewhere in there. This mind, or the breath, and then the mind, and then the intellect, and then the blankness, always further and further, deeper and subtler and inside. The word for inside in Sanskrit is pratyak. Pratyak is inward. You always feel I'm in there. Even when you think a thought, you don't feel I'm exterior to the thought. You feel the thought is exterior to me. I am shining on the thought. The thought is not shining on me. So this innermost consciousness, this is called samvit. And it is clear in waking and in dream and in deep sleep. Everything else comes and goes in the light of that consciousness. But the consciousness is constant. There are different words used for it. Chit in Sanskrit, consciousness. Chaitanya, consciousness. Samvit, consciousness. Or sometimes just Atma, the self, the innermost self. Pratyagatma, innermost self. Many words are used, but they all mean the same thing. All right. This is one process which we use now. This is called the method of 3 states. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Avasthatraya vichara, an inquiry into the 3 states. This is found in the Upanishad called Mandukya Upanishad. It's the shortest of the Upanishads, just 12 mantras, most powerful of the Upanishads. It uses this unique method. Look at your own experience, daily experience of waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and it will reveal to you that quite apart from the waking world, quite apart from the dream world, quite apart from the darkness of deep sleep, you are one shining awareness. That's what you are. That awareness, in association with body and mind, appears as the waker and experiences the waking world right now. That awareness, in association with the thought construct called your dream body, the body in the dream, is a dreamer. It experiences the dream world. That awareness, in association with just blankness and ignorance, is the experiencer in deep sleep. The person disappears basically. So that awareness continues in all 3 states. Now, second line of the verse. Ya brahmadi pipilikanta tanushu prota jagat sakshini. Let's ask a question. All right, so I am not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, not even the blankness beyond body, mind and intellect. I am an unchanging awareness. That in itself is a big step, a really big step. But how many such awarenesses are there? How many people are here attending the 75? So are there 75 plus 1, 76 awarenesses? It feels like that. How many bodies? 76. How many minds? Presumably 76, because our minds are different. Your knowledge, what you know is not what I know. Your personal story, which is in your mind, is different from my personal story, which is in this mind. So the minds are different, because the contents of the minds are different. The bodies are different. Are the awarenesses different too? Are we different awarenesses encased in physical bodies and subtle minds? Or is it one awareness? How would you know? If you feel, a preliminary answer would be yes, we are all different. So your awareness and mind would be different. If you feel that in each body and mind there is a separate pure consciousness, awareness, samvit, whatever you call it, then this is the Sankhyan position, the Sankhya philosophy. The Sankhya philosophy says that consciousness is separate in each body-mind. So each being is a separate consciousness, pure consciousness, apart from body and mind, but separate. It's like so many lights. These are all different lights, and each light spreads out and illumines the entire room. But each light is different. The source is different. Like that, imagine separate lights. The philosopher Leibniz, we know him as a mathematician, calculus. His idea was something like this. Ultimately, he says each soul is a separate, he called it a monad. Monad. It's very, very much like the Sankhyan Purusha. So each soul is separate. And he gives a very evocative idea that imagine the night firmament. Here it's very spectacular in the desert here. The night sky with all those separate, sparkling, shining luminaries, the stars, forever separated from each other by the gulf of unimaginable darkness, space between them. So we are like that. Each of us is a shining point of consciousness, but forever separate from each other. That's a Sankhyan point of view. Advaita says one consciousness, shining through every body and mind. We are actually all one being, one existence, one consciousness, but appearing to be divided. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. In the 13th chapter, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, in all these fields, which are the fields? Each body and mind is a field. In all these fields, there is a knower of the field. What does he mean? You. You are experiencing your own body. You are experiencing your own mind. So you are called the knower of the field. Which field? That field, that field, that field. So how many knowers of the field? Well, the fields are many, so I guess there are many knowers of the field. Sri Krishna says, on the contrary, I am the one knower of the fields in all bodies and minds. Bodies are different, minds are different, the fields are different, but there is one knower. It appears to be different. In the Gita itself, Krishna says, one alike in all bodies and minds, yet seeming to be different. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam eva cha sthitam. Undivided in all beings, appearing to be divided. This appearing to be divided is in each individual being. The reality behind each individual being is one undivided. Of course, the Sankhyans don't give up easily. So they have objections. They say, no. It's cool to say we are all one, but it doesn't feel like that. Here are my objections. Why would you say that we are all one? The Vedantin turns the question around and asks, yes. Vedantin turns around and asks the question, why do you think we are different? You see, the question is very interesting. If you ask, why do you think these bodies are different? Count them. You can see, you can count them. Why do you think these minds are different? Give questionnaires, statistics or like a survey, like a Gallup poll or something. And you will see a variety of opinions, ideas, feelings. So obviously our minds are different. But why would you say consciousnesses are different? Apart from body and mind, what distinguishes one consciousness from another? Do you see the question? Do you see the question? What distinguishes? How would you differentiate between two things? That two things are different, how would you say? Because if they have differentiating characteristics, if they have differentiating characteristics, then only you can say two things are different. In Sanskrit, Vishesha. Vishesha means a distinguishing characteristic. A book is different from a pen. Why did you say that? Well, Swami, look at it. It looks different. This looks different. It does different things. It does different things. It has a different name. Book is a different name. Pen. Names are different. Forms are different. Functions are different. Nama, Rupa, Vyavahara are different. Therefore, they are different. Even the two pens are different. See? How do you say the two pens? They look alike. They have the same name and the same function. Yet they are different. How? Because they are countably different. 1, 2. They occupy different space. Here. How would you say two consciousnesses are different? How would you even begin to count? Well, Swami, it's very simple. There you are. There's your consciousness. Here I am. Here's my consciousness. But there and here, you're talking about the bodies. You will see every difference in consciousness that we point to is a difference in the body, or specifically the mind usually. We're confusing mind, thoughts, ideas with consciousness. Okay, just think about it that way. So what Shankara says here is, it is one consciousness. From the highest gods, from Brahma, not Brahman. Brahman is the ultimate reality. But the highest God, the creator God, Brahma. From the highest God in the highest heaven, down to the mere ant. An ant crawling around there. It is the one consciousness in all human beings, or in all animals, in all, even the gods in the heavens, in the tiniest creatures, everywhere one shining experience or consciousness. One immortal light shining through, in and through all beings. We are literally one, not in slogans. I mean, in universal brotherhood or sisterhood, that's just at the surface. Really, literally, we're identical. We are one being. The oneness exists at the most fundamental level of the universe. So, that consciousness which shining through the highest gods down to the tiniest creatures. Prota Jagat Sakshini. Prota means in and through. When you have a garland of gems, there is a string, there is in a necklace or a garland, there is a thread which runs through all the flowers or the gems. Like that, imagine consciousness running through all of us. One thread. Like a golden thread running through all of us. Preliminary understanding would be, if we say that the thread runs through the garland, through the flowers or the gems. But a deeper understanding would be all the gems are set on the thread. All the flowers are set on the thread. It is on this thread of consciousness that all bodies and minds are set. Jagat Sakshini, very beautiful term. The witness of the universe. Witness of the universe. You are the illuminer, you the consciousness are not just the illuminer of that body and mind. When I say you are the consciousness illumining that body and mind, by now we know enough to say that's a fact. You agree with me? That you are the knower. In that body and mind, you are the consciousness experiencing that body and mind. And through that body and mind, you are experiencing your world. Up to that much seems to be a direct fact. True or not? Are you with me? Now Shankara is saying that same consciousness is in all bodies and minds, in every creature in this universe, and is the experiencer of the entire universe. This experiencer of the entire universe is actually what is called God in Vedanta. Experiencer of one body and mind is called Jiva, individual sentient being. Experiencer of the entire universe in all bodies and minds is Ishvara, the Lord of the universe, which corresponds to God of religion, the cosmic being. Saivaham na drishya vastu iti dridha prajnapi yasyasti chet. I am that one consciousness. Sa eva aham. Let me do this and I'll stop. Saivaham, this word means I am that. There is a book, I Am That, Nisargadatta. Very popular among non-dualists. Yes, you see, people are immediately saying, yes, Nisargadatta. Very popular among non-dualists. This is Shankaracharya, 1400 years before Nisargadatta, saying, I am that. Sa actually. Saivam is sa. She. Not even he. Why she? Because the earlier word was Jagat Sakshini. The one consciousness. Ya, that one consciousness in the feminine, which is Jagat Sakshini. She eva alone. Aham, I. I am she. Literally it means I am she and only she. This Sa, this is God. This Aham, this is the individual, each of us. I. It means I, the individual. I, the individual, am that God. But in what sense? That God is nothing but consciousness, and I am nothing but consciousness. Not consciousness plus something else. I am consciousness and consciousness alone. And consciousness plus mind plus body. No, you are consciousness alone experiencing a mind and body. So, no, I am this mind and body. Then how can you exist in a dream? Question. If you say, I am irrevocably this mind and body, in a dream do you experience this body? No, you don't. And yet you, the awareness, you continue in a dream. So you continue without experiencing this body. Therefore, the awareness can continue without this body, without experiencing this body. You are not irrevocably tied to this body. If you see what I mean. Saivaham. I, the individual being, experiencer of one body and mind, and she, that consciousness, experiencer of the entire universe. I am she. So I am Sa eva aham. I am that. Or I am she, literally here. Not an object. Not drishya vastu. Drishya means object of experience. Till now we have been thinking of ourselves as objects of experience. This body, the moment you say this, it's an object of experience. This mind, object of experience. This person, Sarvapriyananda, this is what I am. But you are saying this, it's an object. I am not an object of experience. Whoever has this solid conviction, unchanging, unwavering, beyond any doubt, dridha prajna, this conviction, this wisdom, let that person be a chandala, a person from the lowest caste like this man standing before me, let that person be dvijavastu, let that be the highest caste of noblest of Brahmins. That person, whatever the outer packaging, that person is my guru, my spiritual master. This is my conviction. Ityesha manisha mama saeva guru. That one is my spiritual master, one who has this conviction. What is this conviction? I am not an object. Whether it's an object in a waking state, in the dream state, or a deep sleep, I am the one consciousness shining in all of them. Not only in this one body and mind, from the highest Brahma to the tiniest ant, through all bodies and all human beings, animals, gods, I am that one consciousness which is the witness of the universe. That one I am. This conviction, the person who has with great clarity, unshaking clarity, such a one, be it a Chandala or be it a Brahmin, such a one is my spiritual master, my guru. So this is the foundation of Advaita, this insight. Let me stop here. Okay. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.